Howdy. Okay, so um thankfully I got time to make at least one more video. And I'm really glad because um this whole situation is um really bringing out like what the things that I really want to contribute to this conversation about the things of God, particularly listening to God's voice. I mean, because now we're really getting into the crux of why people um, don't even attempt to do these supernatural things, and they don't try to hear God. They don't try to listen for God. They don't try to believe for miracles. They don't try to do any of this stuff because of this type of thing. And um, it takes wisdom not to believe something on its face or to know whether something on its face is right or not. It takes wisdom to navigate the very situation itself, because that is that situation where you're going, was it God? Was it not? What do we do about it? Um, that is the nature of everything supernatural on this earth that happens. Um, we take the Bible for granted, quite honestly. Uh, it's written for us. We don't have to uh, have any arguments about it. I mean, even though the very fact that its existence is considered the word of God, um, ordained by God, that itself is questioned. But all of the things that happened, all the events that compiled it, we take for granted what it took for these things to happen and what it looked like for the people involved, and the type of stress they were under. So today is the 22nd. We're still doing a Rapture watch all day today. But the account that I had referenced in the previous video or 2 videos ago, I don't remember, they had come up with, her and about 3 other ladies had come up with a specific time. So they did a live during that time, which personally I would not have done. I'd have been outside on my porch or whatever, like I am now. So I was outside on my porch listening to their live, and the time came and went, and they were mature about it, but I'm sure they're feeling it more than I am. I'm just kind of like, actually, it was really pretty intense, and it's made me think that it's more of a blessing for it to be a surprise, because this is like the second time of all of the Rapture days that it's gotten to like a point where it's just like intensely like, oh my gosh, like it's really 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 intimidating to look down the hole of something that's supposed to be happening. So there's still no reason why it can't be sometime today. In fact, I mean, it's one of these weird things. Like, it's really weird how God works. And let me just go into that before I try to flesh out this thing that I'm trying to say. So, it's funny how people, it's the carnal mind plus human plus, this is a very nuanced thing. And people seem to think that, like, being right about something is going to draw people. Um, and they think that if God gives you something and it's not accurate, and I know that there's a verse in the Old Testament that says something like, if you've been given a word and it doesn't come to pass, it wasn't for me, or if someone says that they're a prophet and blah, blah, blah. Okay. He also says that if someone is a prophet and they come and tell you something and it does come to pass, and then that person tells you to follow other gods, uh, that's another scenario where God says, that's the Lord testing you. And so there's a certain type of intention that he's wanting to get at. It's not just about, if they said it and it didn't happen to a T, then that person is from the devil. It's like, it's not about the accuracy. It's not about the accuracy, because God isn't, um, he's not tripped up by, he knows everything. He's got everything in control. So he's not even thinking about the accuracy. He's not thinking about the accuracy. He's thinking about you. He's trying to get you. You are the wild card, not him doing it correctly. He's not out here like testing the wind, making sure he can do it precisely. That's not the thing. You are the unpredictable. You are the variable. So everything is about, if he's speaking to people and telling him he's coming soon and to warn the people, or he's having people do these things, or you say, oh, well, it didn't come to pass, so he must not have been doing that. No, let's just use the Bible as reference. There's people who gave prophecies in the Bible that didn't do what God said to do. Moses is just one of the primary examples. He told Moses to speak to the rock. He didn't speak to the rock. He struck the rock. But the thing that was supposed to happen still happened. And then later Moses was disciplined for it. There's people who disobeyed God. That in and of itself was a different thing. He was not able to work through that person because they disobeyed him. And it wasn't the point. Because later we find out what Moses did was symbolic of something that happened later. So our disobedience, our inaccuracy, our getting something wrong can always be part of a larger story that ends up being correct somehow. So you can't go by in the moment that it's happening and determine in the moment that it's happening what, if that thing was good or bad or not right, or that person, you can't do that. God uses everything. He uses what you weren't supposed to do, what you were supposed to do. So all you can do in the moment is go, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And you ask God. You have to consult with God as you're walking what's going on. And if he's silent or he's talking to you or whatever, that's all you can go by. You have to go by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So this thing happened where they thought they had the time. Time came and went. Okay. Thousands of people in the live feed. Okay. And then those people in the live feed walk away. And this also echoes back to the video that I watched yesterday, where the other girl who had been through this before was so concerned that people were going to fall away or whatever. Okay. And again, that is not your concern. The idea that you think that God is up there and there's just these rogue Christians going out and fracturing the church, and God's just like, no. Are you what's going on? What are you just going to work and coming home? Have you not gone through anything spiritual? Like, I don't even know what to say to that. This thing is real. And if it's not for you, then if you're like, listen, I like things that aren't on shaky ground, it's like you worship Jesus. Have you read the thing? Like, Jesus said to Peter, follow me. And Peter, a couple people, follow me. And they just dropped everything right there and started walking. That's how powerful Jesus was in his fleshly form. I guarantee you they were thinking of that moment while they were watching him be crucified. I mean, the world was had won. They had won easily because he didn't even fight. He didn't say anything. And they're sitting there and they're going, but they're thinking of every single miracle they've ever seen. And they're going, they don't get it. He was supposed to do all this stuff. He was supposed to do all this stuff. Like, this is the walk. This is the walk. The church, you going to the church from 9 to 11 on Sunday is not in there. So it's like, I don't even know why I have to, like, because it's not even like we're suffering or anything. This is just believing. It's just believing something for a little bit. It's just believing. It costs you nothing until it does cost you something. And then it's like, are you going to risk your reputation? Are you going to risk this? Are you going to risk that because you believe something? Are you afraid? Are you more afraid of the outer consequences? Are you afraid of getting before the Father and him saying, well, if you believed it, why didn't you tell anybody else? And then you do something weird that you haven't done before. You open your Bible more than you ever have done before. You get with believers more than you've ever done before. Oh, the date wasn't right. That's weird. This was all for nothing. What? No, this is about drawing you. And you know, the thing the thing that I kept getting when I was listening to this lady's channel, you know, whether or not whether it was going to be, if it's going to be today or not. It's like, have you ever heard that thing that's like, light yourself on fire and let the world watch you burn or something like that? It's like that. I was like, that's what she's doing. She's letting God like light her on fire because, and have everybody look and see that there's like, look at the spectacle, because you still don't even know how bad this world is and how bad it's going to get. So he's got to like show you some person and have everybody go, he doesn't, do you really think he cares? If you're like, look at that person, come watch this person make a fool of themselves. Whatever. Let's just get the eyeballs on the information, because right now you are walking around clueless. So, and then if he wants to put her out, if he wants to be like, oh snap, no, that's not the right, never mind, everybody, and see what you do, he'll do that too, because he's got all day, he's got all millennia to blow your mind with when he finally does come. That's not the question. The question is your heart, what you would do. He sent Jonah there. Jonah came out of the mouth of a whale, probably running around, saying what he needed to say. And then God relented. He was like, yeah, I'm not gonna destroy him. And Jonah was mad. and Jonah was mad. He sat up on a hill waiting for it to happen, and it never happened. And God was like, "Why are you mad?" He was like, "I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to say you were going to have me do all that mess, and then you were going to just preserve them." It's really that. It took me a while to realize what was going on with that book, and basically, it was what Jonah said didn't come to pass. But it didn't come to pass because God was merciful, not because Jonah was inaccurate. So things are going on in the spirit. Things are going on in the spirit, and it's not about, well, if this happens the way God says it will, then I'll believe. No, you won't. How many times do you have to be confronted with something supernatural before you realize that your heart is hard and you will not, and you need to pray? If you know in your mind that you need God to intervene and that you want to be with God, then you need to have a conversation with him. Don't rely on outer signs because you think you'll be taken by them, and you'll be surprised in the moment how your brain will talk you out of it. The Bible is one of the most supernatural things that are just sitting around in every hotel room in the country. No one cares. And then when the people that open it and they start to read it, they get it. But it's just sitting there. It's not going to do a song and dance for you. And even if it did, you'd probably be like, okay, I'm on some type of hallucinogen. You always have, especially now in the modern world, you have so many ways to talk yourself out of seeing the supernatural. You're waiting for it to really pop out. You're waiting for it to be like one of those 3D billboards. It's like, I'm so amazed by this 3D billboard that's literally just lights and some technology. It's like my eyes are so dazzled. It's like, okay, well, when you see someone get up and walk, if you see somebody healed out of a wheelchair and they just get up and walk, it doesn't look like anything. It looks natural because everything in this world is that. I guarantee you that person's personal life has changed. When you hear the testimony of somebody, when you see somebody emotionally react to something, it doesn't really, you have to be in a certain place. And here's the last thing I'm going to say about this. Okay, so let's say the rapture doesn't happen today. All right. Am I going to latch onto another rapture date? Probably. You know why? Because it kills time fantastically, first of all. I can't believe we're almost halfway through this year. Because I guarantee at the beginning of the year, I was like, ugh. So I'm glad that we are shaving off days on the calendar. The other reason is because that's just what I feel like doing right now. I don't feel like I should let up on this right now. I feel like this entire year is just going to be Rapture watch time. I can feel there's just a different energy. So I'm just going to just do what that energy is leading me to do. Lastly, there's a context to this. And this is what Jesus is constantly trying to get us to understand. And partly, he just needs you to trust him because there's not really a way that you can intellectually get this. If somebody tells you calamity is going to come tomorrow, you're looking around at your today and you're just going, how? It's just really hard to see what isn't in front of you. So when Jesus says about if your eye causes you to sin, better to gouge it out. If your hand causes you to sin, better to cut it off. He's trying to get you to understand how bad hell is. But that's really hard. Even with him telling you, it's like, man, I'm trying to grasp it. So then you just have to obey him. Just do what he says because he's telling you what it is. what the world is going to be once the remnant is taken out of here, you need to follow every lead there is. And I was telling my mom this, like, we were on the phone just a little bit ago, and I was like, you know what, this is like, have you ever been like stranded, like, or you're you're stranded at the airport, or you're like, I personally have never been stranded like overseas and trying to get home or whatever. But when you're in a situation like that, you follow every lead there is. That's not my phone. You follow every lead there is. So if you're at the airport and it's going to be an 18-hour delay, and somebody says, "Listen, I found a guy he can switch tickets with us. I found a dude that can, he's going to take us to a different airport, and they got flights right now. I got a guy that works here, and he said he can get us on this other thing." You're going to follow all the leads because you need hope in that moment, because you are stranded, and you could sit there and just let the time go by so slowly that you want to die, or you could spend your time following leads. So some of us realize what's at stake here. Some of us realize how bad it is. The rest of us, y'all the ones looking stupid. You think we look stupid? Y'all the ones at the airport set up ready to be at home and just whatever. It's like, and what's funny, it reminds me of like when the Jews went to exile. Because like when God was telling them, like, listen, hey, get ready to go raise your babies in a foreign land, because that's what's going to happen. They were like, no, we are Israel. We will always be here. We will never not be here. It's like when God is telling us to be ready to go, we're like, no, we're staying. And when God says, stay here, we're trying to leave. It's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. So if God is saying we're going to leave soon, everybody that's on the we're going to leave soon energy is in the right. And everybody that's saying, well, we'll see, I'm going to sit back, looks incredibly stupid in the spirit. Here, I'm sure you look very sane. I'm sure you look very sane. But we're not talking about here. This place is trash. Me personally, I'm not. Anything that God says is the soundest wisdom that's sound. When you got the world agreeing with you, that's not an alliance you want. That's not an alliance you want. Like that, why are we taking that as a compliment? Like, well, we agree with the world on one thing. It's like, no. So if this lead is a dud, I'm finding the next lead and I'm following that. Thank you very much, because the context is not who here on this earth looks the most dignified, because God is a God of dignity. And that's not it. That's something that you made up. You follow God wherever he's leading.
Remember
all right.
That one video you made in the car?
The what?
The one video you made in the car.
Yes, and all of you were banging on the windows. Yes, I do remember that.
Can we see that one?
All right, well, I guess I'm done. So, peace out.